Welcome back, everyone, to Cut That Out. Today is a beautiful day outside. It's a little chilly, but
yeah, it looks way warmer than it is.
Yeah, me and Narita were literally like, we should be tanning right now, even though we definitely have goosebumps, be freezing. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do if you want to get tan. Because let me tell you, I'm so pale.
I know. I cannot wait for summer.
So bad. Like, I think spring is one of the worst times because like you like transition into wearing shorts.
Yeah,
but
it's like the most embarrassing time.
It is. Like it does. You're like you should like. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like I should not be wearing shorts. Like my legs are so white.
Yeah,
but
it's 57 out. I feel like that's warm.
That is
Why
pretty
does it
warm.
feel so cold?
I think it's
outside?
just because of the wind.
Probably.
But no, like literally, I was walking. Like we walked out to our car to come here, and I was like, we should be tanning right now. What are we doing? I was like, she's like, it would be way too cold. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I think it'd be worth it.
It might be. In the long run, a couple goosebumps over tan.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta weigh it out.
Gotta figure out what's more important. But anyways, today we're gonna be talking about prayer. We didn't really prepare a whole lot, so yeah. We're just hoping that it just kind of comes.
So maybe we should pray beforehand. Because I feel like we should be like, God, just give us a little bit of something.
Yeah, probably.
Because we were debating whether we should pray at the beginning or at the end of the episode. Because we can't talk about prayer without praying.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels wrong to do that.
Yeah.
But
should we start with a prayer?
Maybe. Sure.
I got it, guys. All right. Dear God, I just want to thank you for this beautiful day outside. Thank you for the spring weather. I pray that as we talk in this podcast, that you would just fill our minds with really good information. Like, just help us to say the right things. I pray that your spirit will be here and give us the words to say, and that you'll just help us in this podcast. And yeah, I hope that we have some good conversation. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Wow, I actually think I really like praying when we start our podcast.
I think maybe we should do that more often. Like, it should be like our staple, like we pray.
Yeah. Like, because I feel like, not that we struggle with our intros, but I feel like that's a good way to start it.
It is. Yeah. I have to keep that in mind.
If we start praying in our next couple podcasts, you'll know where it came from. Yeah. I think that's so interesting, though, like, when you are, like, I feel like, okay, pause. My brain just went in, like, 6 different directions for a second. But
it's my brain all the time.
But I feel like when I pray, I'm often asking for things.
Yeah.
Like, but I think when we're asking, like, God to, like, be present, we're more so just, like, saying, like, just be here with us.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, do this, give me this, give me that. Like,
And I think that's something, too, like, I feel like that's a lot of, like, when you think about prayer sometimes, like, that's what a lot of people think of. They're like, and I feel like it's something that people do when they need something, that's when they pray. And it's like, you gotta, like, you have to rethink that. And, like, I shouldn't just be praying when I need something. Like, I need to be praying every single day just for, like, just thanking God for getting you up in the morning, you know, thanking him for giving you the energy to go work out or just stuff like that. Like, and it's not necessarily that you have to, like, it's just, it is hard because I've done it before. Like, sometimes I won't pray for a while and then I'll be like, man, God, like, I just need an answer. Like, that's usually what it is. I can't make my own decisions, so I'm, like, praying that God will give me an answer.
Yeah.
But
I have a hard time, though, like, knowing what to pray if I'm not asking for things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm like, God, I kind of want to pray, like, talk to you, but, like, what about?
Do I say?
Like,
yeah.
So I feel like that's where I mean, I struggle a lot with prayer. Like, let's just be honest. That's where most of mine is, like, a struggle. But
yeah, definitely, though, prayer is such a powerful thing, and I think it's something that, like, a lot of people can forget to do, but, like, and it's not even necessarily, like, I feel like a lot of people just pray in their heads. I'm so, like, I love when people pray out loud, because something that I kind of have been hearing a lot recently is, like, the devil doesn't know your thoughts. Like, he can't read your mind. So, like, it's good to speak your prayers or speak, like, the truth, because the devil can hear that and he's like, oh my goodness, like, it's just, yeah. So I think there's something so powerful about, just being open about your prayers and, like, actually saying them out loud. Like, I feel like in the car is always a good time when I'm, like I'm driving to work and I'm, like, just saying all this stuff. I'm like, okay, like, help this to be a great day, because work has been a struggle recently. I'm going to be honest. Like, I do not have any motivation to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just help me to be a light to these people and just help me to see the bigger picture of why I'm at this job. But it's hard. Yeah. It is really hard. But
I feel like I've also seen the other side of that, where, like, some people, like, don't want to pray out loud, because if you thank God for something that he didn't give you, then the devil's like, oh, I gave you that and you're thanking me for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard that, and, like, I always think of that now. So now I just, like, don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So usually I pray in my head, but I do think praying out loud is very powerful. Like, I feel like just prayer in general is powerful. However you do it, it's gonna be effective.
Yeah.
I think that is interesting, like, going to the idea of, like, the devil doesn't know, like, what we're thinking. Because I think that's a lot of times, like, when people talk about, like, manifesting things, I don't like the idea of manifesting. I joke about it a lot, but, like, probably shouldn't do that either. But when you manifest things, usually you, like, say things out loud multiple times. Like, and I think that is, I hate to say it like this, but I feel like that's more of a prayer to the devil when you're, like, manifesting, like, the certain kind of job or, like, this kind of thing. Because you're, like, saying it multiple times and, like, you're putting it out in, like, the universe or whatever. But I think praying out loud to God or in your head to God is more so, like, a conversation between you guys. And that's, like, letting the devil know, like, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. Like I'm talking to God. Like,
yeah. Because I think that's where, like, the devil can't come into your prayer. Like, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, if it's, like, the genuine prayer line. Yeah.
No.
Like, he can't, he has no power
intercept
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a question I love to ask people. I feel like I haven't asked anyone this in a while, but what is your favorite
this makes me so nervous.
What's your favorite name to call God? Like have you, I don't know, maybe you've never thought about that. It's something that's definitely like I don't know, I find it interesting, because some people are like, oh, I like this word because it means this. Like, I don't know if you've ever thought about that or not. If you don't know the answer, that's fine. You can think about it.
It like omnipotent or something?
Omnipresent?
I don't know. I mean, there's, like, omnipresent. There's omni.
I like the one that's, like, means all powerful, because then that just, like, eases, like, all my worries and stress, because I'm like, he's all powerful, so he's got everything under control.
All powerful.
But I don't know if you consider that, like, a name, because I know like what you're saying, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, there's, like, a lot. Oh yeah, there is omnipotent, meaning all powerful. Omniscient is all knowing, and omnipresent means he's present everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's, like, 3 of those. Yeah, I like that. I've never really thought about having, like, a favorite word for God. Like, if I'm praying, I say Lord a lot. Like, it just comes naturally for that.
Yeah.
I like Yahweh. I think it's just, like, I think it's beautiful, and I hate to be like, oh, I like that word because it's beautiful, but I think it, like,
that's
my favorite
God
in, like,
one.
a good way.
Yeah. No, that's definitely my favorite one, because, like, what is it? The YHWH in Hebrew means, like, breath, I think, or air.
Think so.
And so it's like every breath is like God. And it's just such a beautiful thing. Like the wind, like that's literally God. Like I'm watching like the wind is crazy out there. Like that's literally God. Like it's just Yahweh is such a beautiful name. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah,
for sure. But
I think something recent, like I said recently, it was literally like 7 months ago, if not longer than that. It could have been a good year. But I was listening to a pastor. It was actually one of the Grand Point pastors, and I wish I could remember his name because he was just one of the ones who, like, came in, like, randomly. Mm-hmm. But he was talking about Elijah's life. And to be honest, I don't remember anything from the sermon except for the fact that he said, like, our prayers don't have to be, like, unique or organic, but they just have to be, like, honest and genuine.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about how, like, you can literally read a prayer, and if that is, like, honest and genuine for you, like, you can still see God work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like, myself and other people get caught up in the idea of, like, oh, my prayer has to be, like, perfect, or it has to be, like, oh, it just, like, it's going to flow from me, and, like, it's going to be all this perfect stuff. And it's like, no, you could literally buy a prayer book with all these prayers listed. And each day read a prayer. And, like, obviously, I think you still need to, like, pray to God more as a conversation on your own time. But I think, like, those prayers can still be so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. Because I never thought about that. Every time I'm like, oh, we're just, like, reading a prayer. Or, like, at basketball games, when the people bring up the prayer and literally read off, like, good sportsmanship and blah, 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 blah. And, like, you're just reading it. Like,
But, yeah, as long as, like, you take that to heart, like, it's, like, you mean it. Like, you're, like...
Yeah, and it can still be so powerful, and you can still see, like, miracles from God from that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, it doesn't have to be any perfect, special prayer. Like, God just wants you to talk to him. Like, God wants you to verbalize what you need. Like, he just wants to hear that. Like, because obviously, like, I feel like there's so many times where I'm like, oh, like, he knows what I need. Like, so I don't necessarily need to pray about it, like, because he knows already. But he just wants that, like, surrender and that vulnerability of just, like, God, this is truly what I want. Like, this is, and that sounds awful because it sounds like that's, like, you just always are asking God for things. But he knows your needs and your worries and your struggles. But when you truly, like, tell him, like, physically, like, you're just like, look, like, this is what I'm going through, and I know you've got it, but just, like, give me the strength to keep pushing through, or, like, keep doing what I've been doing. But I just think it's really important to just verbalize what you're going through to him.
I think that's, like, a really interesting idea, is, like, yes, God knows everything. Like, he knows my thoughts, and I could be like, whatever, like, he knows, like, but it's more so to being like, here, like, I'm giving this to you, because we have that, I totally blanked on what the word is, but, like, our own, like, willpower or whatever. And so that, like, that's, like, God being like, yeah, like, you have that, and I know, but until you say that you want me to do something about it, or you want me to take it, like, I think that's where, at least that's where I imagine where God's at. Where he's like, yeah, I could totally do something about that, but I want you to give it to me when you're ready. Like, so I think that's interesting.
And I feel like your prayers don't have to be, like, super long. Like, it could literally be, like, a short little prayer, like, God, I'm really angry about this. Help me to, like, humble myself about it and just move on with my day. Like, it can be like that. And I think that's what he means. Like, in the Bible it says, like, when you get to heaven, you don't want to hear it, depart from me, for I never knew you. And I think that's where it comes from. Like, he wants to know you and, like, who you are and how you pray. Like, because everybody prays differently. Like, no prayer is going to be the same. And he wants to, like, hear, like, your thoughts on your prayers. And, like, and I think that's how he really knows us. It's by our praying. So.
Yeah, and I like that, like, the short prayers, like, it's just, like, throughout the whole day. Like, you're giving something to God throughout, like, the whole day. It's not just a morning prayer, it's not
like,
just a nighttime prayer.
It's like he's there, like, with you throughout the day, and it's just, like, a little, like, oh, like, you remember, like, you're like, look, God, like, I need your patience right now. Like, give me a little patience with this client or this person. Like, it's just,
So, I do think that's, like, what God means when he's like, I don't want you to come to heaven and be like, depart from me. Because, like, you, throughout every single day of every month, every week, like, your whole life, God gets to know a little bit more about you every single time that you pray to him. What's your thoughts on, like, unanswered prayers?
I think it's a hard topic because you think you know what you want, but really God knows what you need and what you want. Like, and he knows when it's best for you, and you just have to accept that. And, like, it is hard. Like, if he doesn't answer a prayer that, like, you really, like, want or you think you need. But, like, it's gonna come eventually, and if it doesn't, it's not supposed to come. So
it's definitely a faith and, like, a trust thing, like, where, like, yes, like, you want something so much and you're like, God, just, like, give me an answer, like, give me, like, I've been doing so good, like, I feel like I've been so faithful to you and you're giving me nothing. And it can be really hard, like, like what you said, like, it's definitely a hard topic. And I feel like it's, like, when you want something that bad, it's just where you literally just have to, like, surrender it, because then you can get to a point where you're angry and you're like, what is this? You haven't given me what I've wanted. But it's like, you just have to surrender that and know that he has something better. he's going to answer it in a different way. Like, yeah, he's not going to, not necessarily going to answer your prayer on your time. But I do feel like if it's truly meant for you and he knows that you're ready for whatever it is you're asking, he'll give it to you. But he knows better than we do.
Yeah.
So we just have to trust him with that. And it can be hard. Like, I feel like a big one is, like, people who struggle with, like, infertility. Like, I feel like that's a huge one. It's just, like, okay. Like, I'm just always, like, I hear them say, like, it's God's timing. Like, and you just have to truly, truly trust him with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, like, something people get caught up in is, like, God's not answering me. And it's like, no, he's answering you. He's just telling you no.
Yeah.
Or, like, he's telling you, like, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting because I can get caught up and be like, I'm literally, like, I'm not hearing from God, or, like, he's not answering my prayers. Like, all these things are happening that are, like, not against what against what I'm praying for. Like, you can pray for someone to get healing or, like, and then they end up passing or whatever. And you're like, God, like, why are you not answering my prayer? And he's like, because it's not, I'm answering your prayer, but it's not in my timeline. Like, if that makes sense. He's like, their life or their death is going to bring so much greater than what you were praying for. And he's like, so he's answering it differently than, like, what I wanted. Or, like, what people wanted. And I think that's interesting because we can get so caught up in, like, well, God only says yes. Or God is just, like, ignoring me right now, but he's going to say yes. And it's like, no, God says no.
Like, sometimes he does. And I feel like sometimes it's hard too, like, whenever you're asking, like, I find myself, like I said, like, a lot of times I'm like, God, like, please just give me a clear sign. Like, and it's like, sometimes God, I heard someone say this, God gives you the right to choose sometimes. Like, sometimes you're like, do I do this or do I do this? Like, I don't know. And it's like, sometimes he's like, either one, like, you can make that decision on your own. And if it's the wrong decision, like, obviously he's going to redirect you or lead you. But, like, ultimately sometimes he'll let you make that decision and he's just going to guide you either way. Like, depending which way you go or, like, what you decide. Like, he's going to guide you. But, yeah, I feel like that's something I've always prayed. Like, I'm like, give me a clear sign. Like, show me what I'm supposed to do. Like, and I'm just, like, expecting to hear, like, a voice or something. And it's like, okay. Like, let's be realistic here. I doubt he's going to do that, but.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because sometimes I think we come to, like, crossroads that, like, there's no wrong way to go with those. Like, God's like, you can go this way and I have this all planned out for you. Or you can go this way and we're going to take a little bit of detour, but we're still going to get back to what I have planned for you. And, like, there's really no wrong direction there. It's just might cause a little bit more pain for you. But in the long run, it's going to be, like, a lesson learned and maybe draw you closer to God in the end.
Prayer is so good. So good.
Yeah, I think, again, something I struggle with, which, again, I said this earlier, but, like, prayer is so hard for me because I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes. And not that God's not listening or answering prayers, but I'm like, I just keep having conversations out loud and no one's responding. And it's because it's not, like, a verbal response to me. And so that, I feel like, is hard because I'm like, I just want to have conversation. I just want you to, like, just talk to me. So I have to, like, start coming to terms better with, like, it's not necessarily that I'm having a one-way conversation. It's just, it's not the same as talking to, like, a human being sitting next to me.
Something, too, I feel like I've heard more recently is fasting and praying. And I think it's so interesting. I want to do more research on it because I'm like, man, like, maybe I should be doing that more often. Like, because I saw this thing, it was like, you're asking God for these things. You're praying that he's going to, like, give you this thing. And they're like, and you're just trying to listen to his voice, trying to get an answer, but you're not. And then they said about you should be fasting. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, and so I'm not sure, like, I feel like is it a Jewish thing?
I don't know the answer to that.
Not necessarily. I don't know. We're not really sure, guys, but I feel like.
Well, our church recently did a fasting and praying. And the concept behind the way that we did it, well, I didn't do it. I don't know why I'm saying we, but was that you took the time, like, instead of sitting down to eat your lunch, you took that hour and you sat down and talked to God. instead of taking the 30 minutes to do
Yeah.
the dishes, you took those 30 minutes to sit down and talk to God.
Yeah, like it's just you more so just prioritize not doing your regular day-to-day things, but like
Yeah.
focus on actually just talking to God.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, I'm sure there's more, like, science and, like, religious things behind
Yeah.
the fact of, like, not eating and praying and, like, taking something away, whether it, like, because when you're pregnant and stuff, like, you can't fast, and, like, if you have a disease or you're sick, like, you can't fast, like, but it's the fact of, like, removing a certain aspect of your life away to take that time to be with God. And I think there probably is some more, like, scientific, like,
Yeah.
and, like,
Psychological.
yeah, but what's the physiological, what is
I think it's
the
psychological.
maybe
I don't know.
Spirological.
yeah, I was like, there's something when it's like churchy that there's like this big word for it, but either way, it doesn't matter. There's like science behind it.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't.
Yeah,
think
I
of the
should
word either.
research that because it's definitely something that it interests me. Like I'm like, what is like, yeah, like what, I don't know. I guess yeah, you give up certain things and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna talk to God, and it's okay. Like I'm hungry, but He's gonna fill me, like spiritually. Because I know it can be hard, like fasting and praying. Like it's a really, I know it can be like like a really spiritual time. Like, and so yeah, I just found it interesting because this one girl was like, you should really be fasting, like fasting and praying to God. That's when you'll truly like hear Him like speak to you. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
But
Well, a lot of different, like, because you asked if it was a Jewish thing, and I was like thinking about it. A lot of different religions do it and stuff. Because like Ramadan was recently.
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
they
do it
fast
too.
until sun goes down, and then they can have their like dinner after sun goes down.
Mm.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but the university did a lot of things with it. So like a lot of different religions and stuff will take time to fast and be more focused on my God.
It's interesting.
Maybe in our next couple episodes we'll update you on
Yeah,
our findings on
found out.
fasting.
But
Yeah, I think honestly, I really do feel like God like kind of
He did.
Yeah,
opened up a
Because I
lot
had
there,
no idea what I
'cause-
was going to talk about, and then I just went
Yeah.
for it.
yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I like was thinking was just that the whole written prayer thing, and then I was like, hopefully everything else flows nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments.
I think I'm gonna, if I remember, put up a question box for people to maybe put their prayers if they have any, or like something that they want us to pray
if you
about.
got some prayer requests, let us know.
Yeah, and they'll stay anonymous because I don't want to like share your business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you have something on your mind that you want us to pray about, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening.
See you next time.